Welcome to the Celebrity Josh podcast. And that's the name of it until I come up with a better name for the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Rackless. Can I not even say my own name? Josh Rackless is what I was trying to say. And I've just proven my point. I need to come up with a better name for myself. One that's easier to say, one that's easier to remember, one that's easier to pronounce and to spell. Those are all the things I need in a name. But I'm going to have to come up with one later because I don't have time tonight to come up with a new name because I need to get this podcast out tonight. I will tell you in a minute why it has to be out tonight. First, let me say that this episode... Sorry, I'm just going to clear my throat. I should have done that before. But I tend to have a phlegmy throat all the time. I don't know why. Anyways, this is a very special episode because it's not really an episode. What's going to happen here is that you're going to hear a call that wasn't supposed to be a podcast. Here's the thing. I had an idea, I don't know, recently, that I wanted to do something like the Cathy podcast. She does a podcast called Don't Keep Your Day Job that's all about how to make a living doing your creative passions, which is what I would love. And then I thought, well, maybe I should do a podcast like that. I love the audience that she has. I love her motivational messages. Maybe I should do my own podcast like that. But then I thought, well, that's a lot of work. I'd have to do all this research, and she's already sort of covering the topics. So then I thought, well, why don't I do a podcast where I'm commenting on her podcast? So, it's still the same information, but it's giving my take on it. And I've even heard that's a legitimate creator technique. Like recently I was listening to a podcast about a male model who started an Instagram page about octopi. And is this... Maybe I'm thinking of a different story in a different podcast. But the gist of it is, like, for example, if the guy posts something on his octopi page, he might take something from another page, but he'll add his own little twist to it. And then his post might even get more likes and comments than the original post. So I don't know if that was actually a story about the octopi thing, but it's somebody's Instagram where, if you add your own flavor to it, you get, you're turning the other content into something. So I'm not saying I'm going to get more views and audience members than Cathy's original show. She's a big hit. But it's a legitimate thing to take somebody's content and do your own comments on it. Anyway, so that was my idea. I'm going to do a podcast talking about her podcast, but then I thought, what if I had other people to talk about the podcast with? This would give me somebody to banter with. We'd get different perspectives, and it would also allow me to interact with members of her audience because I love her community. It's mostly women. It's all creative women. These are the people that I've been attracted to, like, not, in terms of dating, but these are the people I love. Like, that's why I went to Glendon College for university, because I read in a book that it was like 90% women. And I'm like, I love women. I've always felt... most of my friends are women. I just feel very womanly in my head. But also, because, I don't know, women tend to be creative. They like romance and beauty, and they're very loving. So I've always liked that vibe. So I thought, well, if I can meet some people in the group to have this podcast with, wow, that'd be like a dream. So, by the way, just so you know, I am filming this as a selfie with my phone right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can tell that. And if you're listening to it as a podcast, this is just me speaking into my Apple headphones with my iPhone, because it's going to match the footage that I'm going to show you in a minute of the call I did with a couple of women. So to finish my story, I posted in the group. I actually had a post in the Don't Keep Your Day Job group with a separate question. I was like, I asked, hey, I'm just wondering, why is this group like sort of geared towards women? Like, a lot of people are like, hey, ladies, and it seems to be mostly women. And I said, like, do you think there's anything for guys like this? Should I start something like this for guys? And there was a lot of comments, and it didn't get into like sort of a battle as you imagine something like that might become. It became more, people were just offering, their thoughts. Like, women are more, I don't know, they have different attitudes, and women feel more comfortable with other women, and all of that. And then at the end of it, I posted as a comment in the stream, I said, hey, by the way, I'm thinking of doing this podcast where I comment on episodes. Would anyone want to do this with me? And a couple of women responded and said, yeah, I'd be interested. So I contacted them. And later on, I put another post asking specifically, hey, does anybody want to join this? But it hasn't been accepted into the group yet. It took a few days for my other post to be accepted as a post in the group. So in the meantime, I'm starting it with these two women. And, I don't need more women or more people of any kind. It's great with these two people. So that was, well, I guess that was a few days ago. Today is Sunday, January. Is it the 17th? Let me just check my computer here. Yes, it is Sunday, January 17th, 2021. And so me and the two women, we decided, okay, let's do an initial call. They wanted to do like a phone call just to talk about, we were chatting in a Facebook Messenger thing. And then they were like, can we do a call just to talk about like what's the time commitment going to be? How's this going to work? And then we were trying to pick a time, and then it was going to be on Thursday, and then on Thursday I had something. Did I have like a speed dating, I think? There was something I had until like 8:30, and they said, okay, let's do it at 8:30 then. And then, I suggested, hey, we can record the call, because I like to make content out of things, and often like initial discussions I get in with people were like, oh, we should have recorded that. Like a phone call I did with a radio producer a while ago, but maybe doing a podcast together. And then and they were like, well, no, we just want to casually talk, just make the plan. And it'll just be like 15 minutes because one of them it didn't have a lot of time. And I'm like, oh, okay. So Thursday we wound up doing that call. And so we was a Zoom call, and they weren't recording it. Somebody else made the Zoom invite. But just as a backup, I filmed it. Like I filmed my screen, so I'd have notes on it, and just in case the conversation was great or whatever. And it did turn out to be, I don't know, it might not be the best episode, but I thought it might be interesting for people to see the beginning of the podcast. Just three people sort of kicking around an idea. How are we going to do this? What are we going to talk about? Some people might be interested. And it turned out to be more than a 15-minute call. It was over an hour. I think the first thing is like 12 minutes. And then, so you're going to hear in this episode. So at the beginning of it, right when I started filming, I was already in the middle of talking. And I think they asked, why do you have a green background? And then I started explaining, and here I'll show you here with my selfie lens. It's my green screen I made out of Dollarama Bristol board. So that I could, do my videos where I have the internet behind me and I can read articles. So that's what I'm talking about. And then about 12 minutes in, my camera got cut off because the alarm went off on my phone at 9 o'clock. Because I've set an alarm saying, go to bed at 9 o'clock so you can get up early and work. So that cut me off. And then I started filming again. So there's a little glitch about 12 minutes in. And then that's it. And then that went for another 57 minutes or something, where we were just sort of trying to plan out the schedule and when are we going to talk and how long it's going to take. But I think there's some interesting stories when we were introducing each other, like hearing about how each other works and what our lives are like. So yeah, if you want to listen, it'll be like listening to, I don't know, think of something great, like, Shakespeare or something, sort of doing a table read with people for his first play, that kind of thing. That's how epic this is going to be. So, and the reason, okay, so I promised you the reason why I need to get this out tonight. That's what you're going to hear, sort of the planning things. And then today is Sunday, and we finally, we did our call. I was a few minutes late because I was still trying to figure out, I'd done research. I was like, okay, I might have to pay for Zoom if we're going to go longer than 40 minutes, or I would have to pay for Zoom. And then I'm like, can I record three people in a Skype call? And I was doing research on that. And then they messaged me like, we're in the call. I'm like, oh, because I made a Google invite. So they were already in a Google Meet, because Google invites automatically make a Google Meet link now. And so they thought, oh, I guess we're using Google. So I went into there, but then we couldn't figure out how to record it. And then we, I think it was Anna, she was researching it. And she's like, oh, you got to pay for Google Suite, or I don't know what. So then I invited them to Skype, and then we recorded it. So this was starting late, and Anna had to go take care of her dad. So it was supposed to go just 30 minutes, but it wound up going an hour. So that's what we just did. And then in the discussion, we talked about how tomorrow, Monday, January 18th, it's the beginning of a 5-day challenge or workshop that Cathy's holding called Your Turn, or It's Your Turn. And we're all doing it. And so we were talking about how people should go do it, and I'm like, okay, well, we're referencing something that starts tomorrow, so now this is going to be have to be one of those podcasts where people go, oh, like it has to be uploaded that day because it's referencing something that's happening tomorrow, right? And on some podcasts you hear like, oh, hey, it's this day and tomorrow only, it's a discount or whatever. And then sometimes I listen, I go, I'm listening to this like 2 years later or whatever. But this is one of those things where people actually, maybe they'll listen to it today. So I want to get out this initial call that I'm about to show you and play for you. And then once I get that up, I also then need to get up our first podcast episode tonight, so that it's still relevant and people can sign up for the course. And so the episode we wound up talking about in our thing, that's the next episode, we skipped ahead like 3 episodes, and it's the discussion with the woman who ran Oprah Winfrey's show, like was the executive producer for 20 years. But that's the next episode. So this episode is us planning what we're going to talk about. Oh, and I forgot to mention the names of the women I'm talking to. They are Jessica Proctor and Anna Orenstein-Cardona, and I will put their social media links in the description so you can learn more about them and their businesses. And it just occurred to me to mention that there's a sound in the background, and I don't know if I addressed it or asked about it when I was talking to them this time, but after we recorded the next podcast tonight, I was like, I think there's feedback. She's like, no, those are the frogs here in Puerto Rico. They sing to you at night and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's actually nice. Like, now that I know they're frogs, it's kind of a soothing sound rather than irritating. So I hope you enjoy the frogs in the background. I built this myself recently with paper from the dollar store. So it's this green Bristol board, and then somebody else gave me some panels from an old office for my voice acting, just to help with the echo. So I'm trying to build a little studio here. I've got my little ring light, got my voice acting mic. I've got a little lamp here, and then I've stacked up some pillows so that to help with the echoes. But I still have to go under a blanket, so it's not perfect. But
pretty neat, though. Pretty neat.
Trying to adapt. I'm living in my parents' basement at the moment. It's ridiculous. I had a fancy condo for 10 years, and last year I decided, you know what, this is pretty expensive. I don't want to have to get a job. I want to travel. I want to be a digital nomad. And so I had my second bedroom to convert it into a studio with acoustic panels on the ceiling and the walls and high-speed internet, and would have been perfect. And I'm like, no, I'm going to travel. And now I'm like, oh, I'd love to be in that office now. Like, nobody's going anywhere now. Like, it would have, but I guess I didn't anticipate the pandemic, so I'm just going to make a few $1,000,000 now, and then I'll buy it back and kick out the people who live there.
Positive money mindset.
Exactly. It's all I keep telling myself. Well, every time Cathy Heller says, yeah, I just made like $3 million this week, I'm like, what? Okay.
She's incredible and inspiration. And hi, Jessica.
Hi. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you as well. So, sorry, it's really hot right now in Puerto Rico. It was really cool, and then it got hot, and I was rushing to put my dad into bed, tuck him into bed, and so I'm all like a bit messy, but it's all good.
Well, much better than being in freezing Canada, I'm sure.
Yeah, in London. Yeah, but London gets cold, but not like freezing Canada. You're absolutely right.
Wait, didn't you just say you're in Puerto Rico?
I'm in Puerto Rico, but I'm based in London.
Right.
I'm from here, and I've been living in London for 20 years now.
That must be fun, too.
It is, except to be honest, I'd rather stay here. Currently, the situation there is quite ugly with COVID, but my husband's there, and my 2 cats. I came for Christmas with a family, and I extended the trip just to sort out a few family things, and so I stayed longer than expected, and I need to get back for work and for him and, and everything.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, and your initials are AOC. Well, that's kind of fun, too.
They are, I know. It was so funny because I have this backpack with AOC that I've had maybe 10 years, and I was so mad after. I was like, Alexandra, you took
my
letters.
Now it looks like it's a political statement.
I know.
That's funny.
So how long, tell me, I guess, let's all introduce ourselves maybe, like what we do, maybe, I know we know more or less where we're living and stuff, but I thought that would be cool, and and how we know Cathy, because I guess that's the common denominator and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I came across her podcast. I've been listening to it for a couple of years. And yeah, just sort of I don't know. I must have seen it somewhere. I guess a couple of years ago, I was like, I should start listening to podcasts if I want to do a podcast, and I didn't know how to listen, so I said, like, to my phone, "Hey Siri, how do I listen to a podcast?" And she's like, "Oh, you have a podcast app?" I'm like, "What?" And then I guess I just searched and found that, and then yeah, I've been working in advertising for my career, writing commercials, and then 5 years ago I left to try working for myself. I'm like, I want to be free. I want to work on my own time. I don't think I've used the past 5 years that effectively. In retrospect, I probably could have done a PhD or something, but I don't know what I've done. And but I've always liked doing creative things on the side. I've always done like voice acting and had a comedy troupe and done stand-up comedy and took improv with Second City and took screenwriting in college. Like, yeah, 10 years ago, I thought, oh, I'll write a movie. So I took like a program at a college and I wound up winning an award in LA for the first draft of my first screenplay and stuff. So a lot of things I tend to be pretty good at, which is kind of frustrating. Like, I realize now, I had straight A's in school, university. I could have gone anywhere, to Oxford. I could have been a doctor or something. But I always just sort of, I don't know if I took the easy way out or I didn't really sit down to think about what the path of life would be. So I'm trying to play a bit of catch up now and just go, okay, I don't want to waste any more time. What do I want to achieve? So I've been taking some stand up comedy classes on Zoom over the summer and just trying to do little open mics and stuff and just see what I can do with the internet. Because I think things are a bit different now as well. Like when I was a kid, I hosted community cable shows, and that was the only way to really get out in front of an audience. But now
Yeah.
anybody can sit and broadcast live, or like even 5 years ago, I was talking to my friend Tony, who's a voice actor, and he moved to New York, and we were like, we should do a podcast together. And we couldn't figure out how to record each other remotely. Like, he was going to have to buy this software for $5,000 and this whole thing. But now,
Oh.
I mean, but so we just never did it. But now, obviously, we can do a Zoom call and literally, and that's what even Jimmy Kimmel is doing. Like, so there's no excuse to not at least be putting. It might not be the biggest show in the world, but at least you can be producing content. You can be doing stuff, and and yeah. So that's, I guess I've always felt like with whatever I do, I want to try to make it productive. Like, if I'm going to watch movies, well, I should film a movie review, and that way at least I'm not just consuming content, I'm producing content. So then it occurred to me, yeah, if I want to read a self-help book, maybe I should get people on Zoom and talk about the book. And then just in Cathy's group, I was like, I listen to these things and I like the community, and then, well, that gives you something to talk about. Why not do a show where you're talking about the show, kind of thing? So just these ideas keep popping in my head, and then a lot of things I just never do. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to change my name to this, and I'm going to be this, I'm going to be a life coach, but I'm starting to think, you know what, every time I think of an idea, just do it, just try it and throw it out there and see what happens. Because
See it through.
yeah, just do it. Because I realize how much time I waste watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts and not doing my own thing. So there's certainly time in the day. Like, I don't have a family, I don't have a job, I'm living for free in a basement. Like, there's literally nothing I need to be doing. So I don't, why do I not have the time to do stuff, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to, I feel like society puts such pressure on us, like in general, when we're young to kind of, you got to be this and you got to be that. And sometimes with that, it's maybe not when we're ready. And even with a lot of neuroscience research shows that children's, like we say to a child at 18, you are an adult, and yet their prefrontal cortex is not developed until 25. And so I read this great book that I'll send you all on the messenger later, and it was basically a great book about how many people in their 40s and 50s have been successful, and even though our talents change, it's super interesting. And I'll send you the book, because when I read it, it was just so mind-blowing about you're never too late to start, and you just kind of action and need to commit to it because it's hard building a business. I'm currently trying to build my financial coaching and education business whilst I have a full-time job in finance that's quite busy, and taking care right now of my elderly father since my mom passed. And it's a lot at the moment, but I figure I gotta see this through, and it's hard, and there's obstacles, and one biggest obstacle is time and also technology for me. So I'm trying to see where it's affordable to outsource some things because it just doesn't come naturally to me, and so, but I want to see it through. But it's hard. You just kind of got to stick, and you have such a vibrant personality, Josh, that when you find your thing, I am sure if you stick to it, you will be very successful.
Yeah, it's frustrating having different likes. Like I've always liked drawing. It's okay, I could do a cartoon strip. Oh, I like writing songs. Oh, I could do comedy. I could do screenwriting. I could be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then you wind up doing nothing. But
there's a name for that. What is it? Marie Forleo says it's
multi-passionate
entrepreneur.
yes, I discovered that through her, and I mentioned her in my story for some reason. A couple days ago, some woman messaged me, gave me some advice on my videos. I was like, how did you find me? She's like, oh, I saw your, I think Marie Forleo. I'm like, all right, I left a comment on her thing. So I mentioned it in my story, and I saw that she looked at my story. I'm like, oh, see, look at this.
It's exciting.
Yes, when the blue check mark looks at your story, it's like you feel like a bit of a star. And then I mentioned Cathy in my story yesterday as well, and she liked it or looked at it and sent me a thanks or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm so
nice job.
So in. But yeah, I mean, everybody sends me, little memes like, look, Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC until he was 76 or something. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, I don't want to wait till then. So
no, I agree.
Just got to get on it. But if you do focus, I mean, Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky in a weekend, right? So not everything takes 10 years.
You know that.
Yeah, that's the kind of the big story. So I mean, if you really focus, if you just sit down for a day, I mean, anything could happen, right? So instead of it's much easier to avoid doing it. Like I realized, like once I started writing my comedy this summer, I sort of realized, oh God, this is why I'm not doing it, because now I realize it's hard and I'll probably never get anywhere with it. And even if I did, would I be satisfied? I don't know. So to always just not be doing it and think, okay, one day I'll do that, it gives you kind of some hope of some vague future. But if you just don't but if you actually start working on it, you're like, oh God, this is real now, and it might not be anything. But I mean, even discussions like this could be a podcast, because I keep thinking like, well, I wouldn't want to listen to myself ramble. But yesterday, Gary Vee was saying, showed a little clip talking to some girl who was like, I don't know, you say to document your life, but my life's boring. He's like, everybody's life is boring. But we're interesting to other people. Like people are,
right.
You're boring to yourself, but other people are interested in it. So yeah, something like, just listening to yourself talk might not entertain you, but other people might want to listen to it. So you just put it out there, see what happens. I mean, Cathy's in her show yesterday, she's saying, it's only been 5 years since she did her podcast, and she's doing all the stuff. But what was interesting too, I was listening to it today, where she was talking to, I don't know, the Oprah producer woman, and she was saying like
Cherie or Salati or something.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of S's in it. Sherry Salata, or I don't know. But yeah, even Cathy was saying, I find that when I'm not working, when I'm not doing my podcasts and stuff, I'm not really that happy. Is that okay? She's like, that's okay, because you do your work because you love your work, kind of thing. But even to hear that Cathy, who seemingly has got more money than she knows what to do with, she's creatively fulfilled, I assume. Hello, listeners. I'm just letting you know that was the part where my camera stopped filming because my alarm went off saying it's 9 p.m., go to bed. And now I'll take you to the point moments later when I was explaining to the women that sound was my alarm going off. But I've set it for 9 o'clock. That's supposed to tell me, go to bed. Yeah, like, she seems to have everything you would want, kind of thing. But even she... So then I wonder... I guess that's what Sherry said, too, in the podcast. Nobody's happy. I'm like, well, that's not good. So like, what's the point of anything if nobody's really happy? I don't know. But
how about you, Jessica? When did you tell us about yourself and your how you met, let's say, the podcast for Cathy.
Yeah, so I'm the American. I have a full-time government job here, and it just sucks the life out of me every day. So obviously that's how I came across Cathy. I think I read her book before I ever found her podcast. And just the name of the book was like, yeah, I think you need to read that. I've been dabbling in other things for a long time, in a multi-level marketing, and now I consider myself an intuitive wellness coach. And I'm really just facilitating these conversations with women. They're almost like women's circles, if you guys have heard of them. Women, it's like a mix between a women's circle and a book club, where we get together and we do discuss a book, but at the same time, it's this deep connection that people aren't having. We don't have real conversations. It's all very surface level. How's the weather? Oh, and my kid is teething and whatever. It's not real soul searching conversations. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I've become more passionate about. I do have 2 little girls, and so life is busy. And so trying to take that on top of it seems like an insane thing to do. But at the same time, I don't feel like there's any other thing to do with my,
because you're homeschooling, right? So you're doing working from home and homeschooling. That's a lot.
Yeah, they're internet based with their teachers, but I've been here with them for a little while. Yeah, and there's pressure for me to go back to work. So
really, wow.
And leave them here, and so of course the ultimate goal is to do what I want to do and be able to support them in every way possible and be there for all the little moments, not just the big things. So, and I did just sign up for Made to Do This. I don't know, did either one of you guys do that?
No, I did not do that, but I am part of the Arrive community, and that's what. So you'll probably be on the Facebook page, right? The Arrive, because they combine the membership with MTDT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's where you did your hot seat, right?
Sorry?
Where you did your hot seat was in
Yeah. So basically, just to give you the story on that, it's the first time they ever do it. So I don't know, Josh, if you know about the Arrive membership, but it's basically Cathy just decided to do a membership. And so, for example, some of the things we do is that some of the people that appear on the podcast, we get invited to a Zoom call with them. We don't really get to ask I'm trying to think if it's no, it's not a webinar, it's a Zoom call. And then you type questions into the chat usually. And then once a month you do a Q&A kind of coaching call. And in the past, it would just be Cathy asking questions. And this time was the first time they did hot seats. And so we filled out an online form which you would submit, just saying kind of who you are, what you do, etc. And literally I was like looking down, hearing the Zoom call Q&A, and all of a sudden they say my name. I'm like, God, I'm in the hot seat. And it was awesome because I have a lot of ideas, and I feel like Cathy helps you to go, no, this is like, she kind of asks the right questions that make you go, she's so bloody right, and so it really helped me currently at the stage I am is really starting in the sense like literally building my website. I started my Instagram and my Facebook business page. I want to start a Facebook group, and it's all about financial fitness and basically making financial health and wealth. And at the moment, let's say I'm coaching in my private life one-on-one, and it's awesome, and I love to see both men and women, but I can only do limited amount because of my time. And so my dream is to do an online course. And that's kind of what I discussed in the hot seat about saying, well, I have this idea and this idea, and this is what I do with clients one-on-one. And she's like, wait a minute. And the main point she said yesterday that were really cool, it was just like, first of all, like how you measure your success on online courses is the completion rate, not how many people you get signed up, because that's where you really make the impact. That really touched me. And also she said, when you sell too many things, people dial out. And so it was really about niche. Do you say niching? Yeah. So it was really cool. I cried because I talked about losing my mother last year, and that's for me and my family been a huge deal because she was like the center of our family and a very strong woman who was an orphan and then became a lawyer, went from Puerto Rico to NYU to become a lawyer, and always did pro bono work. So actually what's interesting is even though people think lawyers make a lot of money, we grew up not a lot of money, and I was always the little saver And then I went to university in Boston, and then I went into Wall Street, and I've been doing and London for 20. So I've been doing 21 years in finance, and I have always felt like a creative at heart, and I felt very out of place for all these years on the trading floor. And I just decided last year I need to do something about this and leave a legacy like my mom did of goodness and of making an impact. And so that's why I started that business, and I joined the Arrive community because Made to Do This is fantastic. They put you in pods, so you'll get your pod. And so in the Arrive community as well, they put you in pods. And what's great is everyone's starting a business at the same time. And so you really act as each other's kind of, how do you say, buddy, and talk about all the bits and pieces. And what's beautiful is that, I got the hot seat. And then overnight, a lot of people messaged. And it's just been really exciting. And so now I'm laser focused to try to implement what she suggested.
Cool. And so is that going to be on the podcast, I guess? Does she play the hot seats or?
I don't know. The thing is, when we signed that form, you do kind of tick a box saying that she could use some of it in marketing.
Okay.
So I don't know. You know how sometimes she does coaching calls on her? So I don't know, but I said I'm okay with it, even though I cried and was a little emotional.
Oh, I feel like every episode everybody cries. Like it's always somebody's mom's got cancer or whatever, and it's like, and then Cathy's like, I'm really bawling, and everybody's bawling, and then I'm bawling, and that's what I said in my story yesterday. I'm like, I'm listening to Cathy and I'm crying, and like it's all ridiculous.
Oh, did you say that? Oh, yeah. I need to go see it. Yeah, I'm a crier. Like, I'm just an emotional person. And so, which again doesn't really fit into the finance world. And so I think what's helped me to do well on that is I found within that world my people. It's like the people who have heart, because there are good people. But I have to see that. But I always cry on her podcast too,
Yeah, I mean, it's all very emotional. It's spiritual, and just something about her voice makes you want to cry. I don't know.
So, Josh, are you in Canada?
Yeah.
This is so international then.
Yeah.
That's why you said, Jessica, I'm the American, because I was like, what?
Yeah, we've got a bit of everything.
That's pretty neat. So I love that everyone has a different background too,
Yeah, and that's what's nice, and that's what one of my stand-up comedy teachers keeps saying. It's like, normally the classes would be in person in LA, but this way, look, we're all from different places, and our open mics, there's somebody from Ireland, somebody in England. Like it's, we can entertain people from around the world. So that's a benefit. I was just saying, I was just in a Toastmasters meeting just before this, and I was like, does anybody remember what we did a year ago? Like, was anybody on Zoom? Like, were there Zoom classes? Like, I don't remember. Like, why haven't I been doing this before? But I can't remember. I don't know.
I used it very rarely, but I guess like you said before, your friend, like Cathy, even she mentioned this yesterday on the Q&A session. She said that she's been using Zoom for 4 years to do her podcast. And that her husband, like when the pandemic started, she said, I went to my husband and said, we need to buy some stock in Zoom because everyone's going to have to use this. And he didn't. And she's like, oh my God, we could have made so much money this year. And so, because we were talking about that in my hot seat when I was saying about how important it is. I love I'm very holistic in the way I coach and I teach, because I want to understand a person's behavior and those basically inherent money beliefs that we carry from childhood, right? Because they're transgenerational beliefs that even though we don't realize it, we pick up as children, and we then do the same, as adults. And I was talking about how the difference I want to do is actually I want to help people learn to invest, because there's so many people talking about mindset, and that's brilliant and it's important, and I do cover that too, but it's actually about sitting down and going, this is what this is, and this is how you can do it. And that's when the Zoom story came up, but she says she's been using it for 4 years, so there's a community that knew about this before.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because I've just been sitting around for 4 years. Why wasn't I signing up for classes or whatever? I don't know why it took the pandemic for me to sit down and go, you want to do stand-up, take a class. Like, because I haven't done classes for years for it. But now I'm like, why wasn't I doing it always taking a class for the past 20 years? Just something. Why did I every 10 years go, I'll take screenwriting this week? Like, I don't know. But I guess you can't turn back time and change things. But yeah, she was on it, of course. good for her. And yeah, that's what's been delaying me on the podcast too. For months, I was like, I gotta find the perfect software that'll, sound perfect. But they have Squadcast where it'll record you on both ends, so it's like good sound. But then I'm like, but they don't have video capabilities. So then I realized, you know what, I can record in Skype. I'll just do that, and then it's fine. Just record it, post it, and at least it's something. You just need to keep cranking out content. Just book some.
Josh, I'm starting a class in February. There's this lady, Jessica, you'll get to know her because she's an MTDT alum. And her name is Allison Hare, Hare, and she's starting a podcast class for beginners. Oh, I don't know if you have time and interest, but I can send you the link. I signed up, I think it was in this... when they had Black Friday, I signed up because, it was on sale. But if you just look her up on Facebook, let me just see how you spell her name, because she has also freebies and stuff on podcasts. And again, I haven't started. It starts in February, so I really don't know much about the technology aspect of that, but it's...
yeah, I mean... It's funny because, like, for years I was trying to research how do I start a podcast. I met with a guy who had one. I'm like, how do you get this thing on iTunes? Like, what is the file? Like, it took me 10 years. And then finally, in January, I just said, enough of this. I'm just going to... Actually, I even took a podcast class with a guy for a whole day a couple of years ago. And then I went to a couple of podcast conventions in Toronto. So finally, in January last year, I just said, this is it. I'm signing up for the hosting service my teacher recommended. And I'm just going to go through it. And then
so you're already signed up for...
Yeah, I paid for a hosting service, like $15 a month. And then I had just done a rant, like I made a video of myself talking about Indiana Jones or something. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the audio from that video. Now I have an MP3. How do I get this onto the thing? So it took me 2 days to figure out how to tag the file and put it up. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I know how to do that. So then I just started recording Skype calls with people. And then I'll just throw the Skype call up on YouTube, and then it gives you an audio file too. I throw that up as my podcast, and boom. So I've got like 8 episodes up. So I finally figured out how to do it. And then I keep looking at these podcast things. I'm like, I don't need a podcast course. Like for me, that would be more procrastination now. I know how to do it. I could teach it. I just literally need to do it, like to book the guests and just say, here we are talking. So that's good. So I keep looking at, what do I really need to learn? Like, I look at these Toastmasters meetings. It's like, I don't need to learn how to public speak. Like I've run for public office. I've hosted TV and radio. I know how to speak to people. I just need to stop procrastinating and do this. Like, and just speak and make content. So I'm trying to, like, 'cause a lot of it is like, I feel lonely. So I take the Toastmasters and all these, cause I want to talk to people every week. But at the same time, if I was doing my show, or like I could be talking to people in that way and be building my brand and my authority and stuff. So
you know what's interesting, Josh? One of the other ladies they chose for the hot seat yesterday. Yeah. So she is basically was in corporate and then went into photography, and then with COVID, obviously all that got impacted, and she was talking about how she's now building a business. And what Cathy had said to her, talk to people about that. Tell them exactly, like, so for instance, you're saying, this is how I did this on YouTube. Like, literally, you could do a podcast, guys, this is what I'm doing now to move forward in this idea that I have of, let's say building my brand. And so Cathy was saying that is in itself a business of you just saying, this is what I'm using. Hey, I tested this instrument versus this instrument, and this worked so much better. And that was the advice she gave this girl, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and I keep thinking that too, because, like, my life is, I'm kind of like a Tim Ferriss in a way, like where I just like doing experiments and I just do things. Like last month I thought, you know what, I want to be in a movie as an extra. Like I signed up for an extra agency in Toronto a couple of years ago, and I thought that's a waste of time. I never did it. But then I've been sitting around here and I realized I saw somebody on Instagram who was in a Hallmark movie in Ottawa. I'm like, okay, so I just looked up talent agents. I emailed and I said, hey, would you ever want an union actor for, yes, are you available Friday? You can be a cop. I'm like, good. Okay, so from one email, I got into a movie, and I'm like, that could be a story,
yes,
or how I made a $5 green screen, or how do I got, okay, like last week I posted a picture of the canal. There was weird circles on it. I'm like, are they aliens, or are they just cleaning the canal? What are they doing? And then I got an email from this website, Narcity, that's a big, like, sort of newspaper in Canada. They're like, can we use your photo? We're doing a story about the canal. So I'm like, oh, now I've got a credit. Now I'm a photojournalist. There's a YouTube video. Like, just all these little...
See, you got the idea, mate. You got the idea. Yeah. You just got to implement it. That's awesome. awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but it's just it's just my life is interesting
The
enough.
Life with Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, years ago I registered the domain name at like a life worth liking. I thought, okay, that's my life, because it's like I'm just trying to do everything to get more likes on Facebook, and but it's kind of that. Like everything I do is kind of a little adventure. Like I made a love song for the Green Party leader because I thought, I liked the Obama song that somebody did, and then I tweeted it to her, and she's like, "Oh, I love you too." And then instantly all the newspapers called, and all the TV stations picked me up in limos, and I was talking on the news, and it's like, oh, I just, you do something and then something big happens. And then from then on, I wound up running for office myself. And every time I run, the newspaper calls, "Are you going to do another funny song? Or do you want to come on our morning show and talk about your running for mayor kind of thing?" So it's stuff that to me just seems like whatever, but it's kind of interesting things. Like if I decide I want to do something, I just do it.
I love it.
Yeah. So maybe that.
Well, I was just gonna say. So, what time zone are you in right now? So, what time is it for you right now?
Like 9 o'clock. I'm in Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, you are EST.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because one of the things is that I just wanted to chat about. When I'm in London, it's a 5-hour difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes of the year, it's 4 hours. I am a bit of a night owl. I do stay up late. And part of the thing is also working on my business right now. I also, because I do that after the day job. So
Yep.
it's I do stay up late. But what's the idea? Like, because it seems to me you have a really lovely idea about doing like this daily thing where you can talk about all this, or is the purpose is like we might look at it from a weekly basis, because obviously we need to listen to her podcast first, which is sometimes an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And now she's doing these daily things for 10 minutes. I'm like, girl, I don't got the time.
No,
I'm
no.
trying.
I have not.
I'm paddling.
Yeah, I have not listened to those yet. I'm like, no.
And so I guess the thing would be like, what's the time? What do we want to try? Because I guess we got to give it a try for a month at least to see how it develops. And and just that's what I wanted to chat about.
Yeah.
And
So
the day that suits and all that.
yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't really have anything in my schedule, so I'm pretty open in terms of when you guys are able to do it. And yeah, it doesn't have to be the big thing. And I don't even think. And that what I've realized, I mean, with YouTube, you can start a new channel, you can throw things up easily. To do a separate podcast is a bit of a pain in the ass. Now you got to buy more hosting, and you got to make separate files and get it on all the things. I don't know. So, I mean, we could make that, or I was just thinking I could just make it part of my podcast, like a weekly feature, and then see if it takes off, and we could always make it a separate thing or whatever. But at least it's a venue to throw it up there and get it on YouTube.
And are you okay to do that technical part of like, I don't know, whatever, editing and putting it out there?
Yeah, I would do all that. I mean, I think I don't like editing just because it takes so long. Like if I have to go back and listen to something, it'll never get up. So basically, I would just record a call like this. I'd press record, say, "All right, here we are. This is the show. What are we doing?" And it'll be just one raw, whatever it is. That's what it is. It's like 15 minutes, and maybe one day we'll hire, we'll be like Cathy, and we'll hire a team to sit there and edit it. But in the meantime, I don't care.
Let's put the good energy out for that, mate. Let's just...
Yeah. And then, so maybe, because like originally I was thinking, because, I don't like putting an hour into listening to a whole thing. I'm like, oh, God, it's a waste of time. But if it's, we're going to do a show about it, okay, I'll invest the hour a week. I'll go for an hour jog. I'll listen to it. Right. So I figured, maybe it's like once a week we listen to the big one. And then, that's kind of our homework. We listen to the big thing. And maybe we have to listen to her 5 daily 8-minute things as well. So it's a couple hours homework. And then we say, and then she even summarizes the things at the end too. Here's the takeaways. So maybe that's what the basis is. I'm like, okay, she talked to Jill Stanton this week. Here's the takeaways. Takeaway 1 was, always follow your dreams. What do you guys think about that? Like, and I'll be like, it made me think of when I broke up with my girlfriend or whatever. And then
I love that. I love that.
I really
go ahead, Jessica.
Takeaways from the takeaways, basically.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah, we could call it the Don't Keep Your Day Job Takeaways or whatever. And
what's that summary book that people would buy in college? That
Cole's Notes. Cliff Notes. Cole's Notes. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's what I think this would be too, because there's probably people like us that we don't have time to listen to this, but they'll listen to our 15-minute version of it or something, But that's what I've also noticed, like, and that's what they say on YouTube too. Like, if people don't watch one video to review a phone, they'll watch all the videos on it and then decide. So if you're doing something that people are interested in, they'll want to hear more. So, if they like Don't Keep Your Day Job, they'll, oh, there's more. There's these people talking about it. Or that's why, like, if I watch Black Mirror, I look up people talking about Black Mirror, and I want to hear people talking about it, right? So it's a good idea. Like, you're building on a community that exists. And even in this other podcast I listened to, it's like they said, like this guy who did the octopus Instagram, sometimes he'll post something with his own comments on it, and it'll get more views than the original comment post because he's added his own flavor to it or whatever. So who knows? We might even hit even more people than listen to the show or whatever. And just like, to me, it's just a starting point. It's like an excuse of something to talk about. We might not even really get into her or whatever because people can listen to her. It's more like, what's our story? What's our personal take on this thing? It's like a conversation starter that sort of just gives it some structure. Because I keep thinking like, I keep thinking I want to do something like this. I want to be sort of a creative coach and help people with this stuff. But then it occurred to me, well, why reinvent the wheel? Why do I have to do all the research on this? Here it is. Just give my thoughts on what she just did. It just seems like a ready-made way to start it, kind of thing. Like a Dr. Phil was on the Oprah show, and now he branches out on his own. So anyways, that was just the idea. So I mean, yeah, it could be, we do our homework and then we meet at this certain time, and I imagine it could probably easily go for half an hour. I mean, if that's too long, it's too long, but it might be a good amount.
Like to do both of them in one episode.
Like, you mean like the weekly thing plus the little daily bits?
Well, because she does 2 longer episodes a week, right?
Oh God, does she do 2 now?
Oh, she does 2 now? I thought it was Mondays. Let me look at that.
Mondays and Thursdays are long ones, and I think it's been like that for a while. And then now she decided to add all the daily ones in between there.
Yeah, so that's
a lot.
I've hardly listened to any over the years. Like I listened to a little bit. My gut feeling was always that this is gonna be too airy fairy. Like I don't want to listen to her crying with someone. Like I want some actionable tips. So that's actually what I've just been listening to in the summer. I listened to her coaching calls because I'm like, okay, she's got let me hear how she picks apart the thing and says what to do. So that's why I really like those. But they're not bad actually. I listened to them lately, and I'm like, so yeah. So I mean, I guess the other thing, and then I decided, you know what, now's a good time to start. Just start with like her January 1st episode because I don't want to. We can't go back 3 years and review them all. So I figured, okay, let's just start from now and then do that. So I mean, yeah. Again, it comes down to the amount of time we have, whether we want to do. It might be too. I don't know. I guess the other way to do it could be.
Jessica's right, by the way. It's 2.
Yeah.
So just checking out beginning of January, there were 2 episodes over an hour.
Yeah.
And then the short ones are even getting into the 18-minute mark. Some of them are 9 minutes. I'm like, I can't do that every day.
Those ones I caught a few of, like on my walks or whatever, and it's stuff that I heard, like either videos she sent out or one of them was on the call I was on with her the other day. It's all repurposed content. So if you listen to her on a frequent basis, you probably heard all of the short ones anyways somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So,
all right. The long ones are the.
So one way to do it could be. I mean, say we met once a week on a Saturday or something. We could cover everything we listen to. Okay, here's Monday's episode, let's talk about that. And here's Thursday's episode, let's talk about that. Or we could say, okay, let's talk about Monday's episode, da-da-da. Okay, that was an episode, bye. And now it's the second episode. Now we're talking about the other one. Although that might get confusing, because if we just talk to each other 2 minutes, or like we might want to reference things we just said, and then it's like, so maybe we just stick it to all one thing. And the other thing to do, it's, okay, if we're meeting every Saturday, then we just talk about everything that happened that week. Okay, so Monday she talked about this. What do you think about that? Okay, great. And then she did a little snippet. Did anybody listen to that? No? Okay. And then the second episode was this. Because, I mean, there's no point in rehashing everything because she covers it. We don't need to go an hour talking about her hour with Jill Stanton. It's more like, here's the little things to... Whatever. I mean, it's like she says, you can always see it'll evolve. We might realize this is ridiculous, or it's a waste of time, or whatever, or it's not.
We could divide it up.
Yeah.
But then you might actually be more attracted. So as an individual, we might look at, okay, who did she have this week? Oh, actually, I want to listen to this one. And I don't want us to put ourselves into a hole of having to decide. So maybe it could be like our key takeaways.
Yeah.
And just, if we don't listen to both episodes, it'll be, you can say, I missed that one, but I love, So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We just open it up, and maybe sometimes it doesn't even have to be like you know, I do think that's the common factor that joined us together, and so that's kind of the springboard we start with to see if we can build community, as you say, not reinventing, but just, you know, using that community to build, because we all come from different angles. Like, I love, you know, that Jessica is a mother, and you know, there's so many people sympathizing with what you're going through, working from home, teaching kids. You know, Josh, you have such fun stories and this incredible life of adventure that I think is awesome. That, you know, I love your little green office, and you needed, you know, that's about creativity. And, you know, I can try to bring, let's say, the, like, the, everything, in a way, money is related to so many things in life, right? It's all the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it has to do with so many things. And I would be happy to offer actual, you know, tips that are helpful, or just give opinion on things I've seen. And, you know, I just got married. That's part of, you know, a big milestone in life. We got married within 4 hours of a UK lockdown, which was, we had to plan a wedding in 2 days. And so there's always things we all can contribute to that are,
Yeah, and that's partly why I want to do this too, because I want to talk to people from different backgrounds to feel like I'm, in a way, not missing out on everything. Like, it's like, okay, if I can talk to a professor, I can find out what it's like to be a professor, or what it's like to study physics or whatever, and that way I can learn from that. Now I can learn about what it's like to do financial stuff, or what it's like to have kids, or whatever, and that way you sort of get to live different lives in that way. And yeah, like you're saying, it's just a starting off point. I mean, we might, yeah, like, you know, we could even just look at the title of it and see what it makes us think of, and yeah, we'll all have our own perspectives and our own little tidbits and stuff. And so maybe, you know, I can make it my homework to have to listen to all the stuff on my own, and then I can be like, and yeah, and we can be like, you know, part of the topic can be which did you listen to this week? What jumped out at you? I wasn't interested in listening to this because it didn't interest me, but I listened to a bit of this one, or maybe somebody will have heard it, or we can just read the show notes and say, okay, anything interesting in here? Yeah, it's like, you know, whatever. Because yeah, I mean, she's churning out a lot of content, and not everybody has to listen to everything.
Right. Well, and that's very real too. There's so much stuff out there. Who has time for all that? Like, how are you prioritizing what it is that you're spending your time on?
Yeah.
And honestly, I do this in my book club too. Like, I'm like, there's no assignments. Like, we're going to try to read chapter 10 and 11. And we just come in and we talk about whatever. Like, I read 2 pages and this is the part that stand out. And then we have end up having a 30-minute conversation on that one sentence. Nobody cares if you read the rest of the chapter. You know what I mean? It's just about the conversation that happens. So yeah, I think this will work perfectly.
Which class is that?
It's the book club that I run.
Oh, you run a book club, of course. Very cool. Yeah, and well, that's what I'm realizing now too about time. Like, that seems to be everything. Like, I was in this this life design coaching call with this professor earlier today, and we talked about, did a little breakout room with a couple people, and it's like, what's your problem? And this one woman's saying, I make a schedule every day, like all the things I need to do, and then somehow I don't do anything, and I push it to the next day. And she's like, and what's your problem? I'm like, that's my exact problem. I literally last year wrote out a schedule. 7 a.m. I will wake up. I will do voice auditions for an hour. Then I will record a podcast for an hour. Then I will write stand-up for an hour. And I have it all broken down. And somehow every day just gets away from me. And a lot of it, even because I have no responsibilities, a lot of it is just, oh, right, I've got a Toastmasters meeting, and I've got a life coach design call, and I'm got to go through all my newsletters from all these gurus. And I'm like, I don't need more gurus. I don't need any of this. I need to be just producing my content. Like, you know, Cathy probably isn't sitting watching YouTube videos all day. She's making her own show. And so, yeah, you got to do stuff that moves the needle. And if you don't need 5 hours of her content a week, then you don't have to listen to it. It's more like if it's there for you if you want. And at the same time, there's people in this world that are creators, and there's people that are more audience types, and they want you to create. And, you know, if you're the type that wants to create, then embrace that and do it. Don't feel like, oh, I have to watch everything. And that's the thing. Time is just very, very precious, and you got to decide, okay, yeah, this is, you can't do everything. So and that's a discussion as well. So, but yeah, whatever little snippet we can get from her, and you know, even if we just listen to her takeaways at the end, it's like, that's probably enough. And
I agree. Great point. Yeah, I forgot about the key takeaways. Those are part of my favorite part sometimes, because it just brings back, oh yes.
Yeah, and then you realize, why did it take an hour and a half to say that? but and you know, and maybe we'll get other people who join us in the show, and they'll be like, yeah, well, I listened to that episode, and they can give us the Cliff's notes and be like, great, you know, you did your homework. Or if we read show notes, we go, that sounds like something interesting. I'm going to listen to that for next week. But I don't know how much there is in any of this. I think everybody's got their little trick. Like I watched a documentary with Tony Robbins a few years ago. He was in town for a screening, and I was just paying attention. I'm like, what's his secret? And it seemed that what he does for everyone is basically take a negative thing from your life and turn it into a positive. You know, if some trauma happened, well, now you're the person who helps people with that trauma. And that's it. I don't think there's a lot more to this stuff. And so, you know, her stuff that she admitted to somebody on the episode yesterday or the day before was, you know, it's not even so much telling people what to do. It's just being there to force them to do it. Walk, you know, hold their hand while they sit down and work for 12 weeks and they figure it out on their own. So, yeah. So I think all of these episodes come down to just doing it, finding, you know, just doing it. Like even Marie Forleo posted today. She's like, this is real simple. Figure out what you want to do or figure out where you want to be, figure out how you're going to get there and how much you're willing to sacrifice to do it. And I think that's what almost everything is. Like just shut up and start doing what it is you want to do. If you want to do a podcast, turn on the podcast thing and record it. You don't need a 12-week course to tell you to whatever. But, you know.
Well, the biggest thing that comes out of some of the courses, and I'll tell you, is the community. Like you really, you know, have people that you can actually hold you accountable, but also that you can reach out to. You know, I had that the other day with one of the ladies from my Arrive But. I'm like, listen, I'm stuck on this idea. And she literally helped me solve it within 2 minutes, you know. And so that's the best part. And that's something about community. Like if we form a community, that's what people can do for each other too, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that was the other thing in the life design course. People were saying that what they really miss, what they wish there was, is just people to help them, like to be accountable, to keep them company. And that's what I was saying too. I typed into the chat. It's like I used to like walking down the hall in university residence and sitting in somebody's room and we just do our work together. And then other people were like, yeah, what they do with their friends is they each turn on their webcam and they sit there and they just work with them, you know. And I'm like, so I was thinking that was one of my big ideas that when I was listening to one of Cathy's episodes, it's like, okay, my community is just going to be like giving a space for people to keep each other company. We all get on a big Zoom call and we sit there and we work on our writing or whatever for 2 hours, and it's just like a virtual co-working space. And it seems that's what a lot of people need. That's what they want. Because I find, I think if I had a wife, it might help because she'd be in the other room or sitting beside me working and I'd have company, but I don't have that. So I feel like the world is passing me by if I sit down to do anything. So just to know somebody else is there working as well, it's comforting. Like I think that's everything in the life coach or the.
There's a lady that she had on her podcast whose name I'll come back because I am on her email list. She's a writer, and she's an author, and that's exactly what she set up. She said a writing community because she said people say I want to write a book, and yet they never take the time. And literally, I think it's like they pay a membership, these people, and they sit there on the Zoom call, and she'll give a prompt, and then people will write, or people will write freely, like, you know, what they want to. And I thought, bloody hell, that's awesome. What a good idea.
Yeah, so I feel like I want to be that for people. So I want to change my name. I keep thinking like of the perfect name. Like either I want to call myself Ramble because I like rambling, or I want to call myself Spark because I want to spark ideas in people. Or
you have a good name, Josh.
yeah, it's just boring. Or it's hard to spell. Or Live Truest. That's my other name because it's like I want people to live their truest self. So that's neat.
That's neat.
You like Live Truest? Yeah. All right, I bought livetruest.com a couple of days ago, so I'll just start telling that. Because then I can put on a hat, and then it's not...
Do it.
Yeah, just try it. It's just a silly idea, but it's been stuck in my head for like 6 months. Just try it and see what happens. I don't know.
I love it. I'm just adding you guys as friends. Let me go in here. And what are your Instagram handles?
Well, right now it's my name, at Josh Rackless.
Josh Rackless.
For a while there, it was at Celebrity Josh, and then I just got sick of that name. And then somebody's got at Live Truest, which drives me crazy. And I keep messaging them, and they won't respond, and they don't have any...
Do at the real Truest, or so you know how the celebrities do.
Yeah.
Real does.
Yeah, Live Truest official. You know, it's gotta be.
I love that. Yeah. Jessica, what is your handle?
Positively Healthy Jessica.
Positively. Yeah, so we support each other.
Oh, that's true. Now we've all got new followers.
So we do that. And then, okay, so do you want to pencil in a date to start this? Are Saturdays going to work for y'all, or Sundays better? And then you can post it on the Monday maybe, because I don't know how many people, like, I don't, you know how there's all these things they'll say, oh, you know, I
Monday's
feel
not.
like, yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't know when it the best time to schedule. Usually, I mean, I think as soon as you can get up is good. Like it's like, and just let people know. But we'll figure it out. I guarantee if we say in the group, hey, we're doing this. Anybody have any advice on schedule? Oh yeah, we've got 500 people saying yes.
Oh, no. We just need to agree it between us, because the thing is, like, I know, like, for instance, with kids, I'm sure, Jessica, first thing in the morning, you might be quite busy with them. And again, I don't know during the day if you ever get because even though there's a 5 hour time difference, let's say I could do something at 11, but then that's still probably too early for you, huh?
Where
11 p.m.
where-
during the week.
Where did you say you are, Jessica?
I'm Eastern time. I'm in West Virginia.
So same as me. Okay, so
So that would be 6 o'clock. So that might be a bad time for you with dinner time, huh?
I mean, if it was once a week, it wouldn't be.
6 o'clock would be 11 o'clock for you, right? And that's about as late as you'd want to do it. We wouldn't want to keep you
That's pretty late.
Yeah.
Especially if it was weekend, like Sunday 6 o'clock is definitely easier than like Monday 6 o'clock. But you know, I could make it.
Okay.
I mean, Sunday 6 o'clock could work. I mean, especially under COVID, we can't go out during the weekends. Usually, we would go out for a lunch on a Sunday. But if, let's say, if for ease we wanted to do it on the weekdays, I could probably commit to an 11 p.m. once a week. Except Thursdays, because sometimes that's when I have my Arrive pod meeting.
Fun.
I just thought we should probably put something in the calendar to make it happen.
Yeah, no, otherwise it's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, anything's fine for me. Like, I mean, if you want to do it during the, like, earlier during the day on Saturday or Sunday, I don't know. I mean, again, I can do any time, so it's all about Jessica's kids, I guess, or whatever.
So if you could do, let's just kind of randomly say, so if you could do 2 o'clock on a Saturday or 3 o'clock, that would be kind of perfect for me, because we tend to have dinner around, let's say, 9. So then that could work. But if you prefer, like, what do y'all prefer? Do you want to, Jessica, for you, for instance, because you couldn't do 5 o'clock, I suppose, right? During a weekday?
5 p.m. Like
5 p.m.
Right now I could. When I have to go back to work, I won't be home yet from work.
Sure. Okay. Because if we could start maybe with that for now, and then we just, as our lives may change, because the weekends sometimes are a bit trickier, let's say, especially if we start to get out of COVID where we can go out, and because of the time difference. So 10 p.m. would be awesome for me, if that worked for 5 o'clock for you guys. So if we said maybe like Wednesdays at 5, or maybe Thursdays at 5 for you, so we have enough time to make sure we listen to her podcast. But then again, she her other podcast comes out on Thursdays. That's really hard.
Monday and Thursday. I mean, again, for me, like Sundays would be kind of ideal.
Sundays would work for me.
And then whatever time is good for you, you know.
Okay. I would say for me, let's say, and are Sundays okay for you, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sundays at 6 o'clock would be quite good for me, but that would be 1 o'clock your time. Would that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So
are we thinking in a couple days Sunday, or not until the next?
Might as well. I mean, if you can do it, we might as well get it rolling.
Pull that trigger, right?
Yeah. Kathy would say they just got to get messy. You just got to do it. The only way to learn is by doing it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I would need to listen to her. I think I listened to the Sherry, I think it was Sherry Salata. Because I think she was one of the ones we saw in the Rive community before it came out on the podcast. She's the opera lady, right? And she has like glasses. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Sherry
They wouldn't
Salata's
see
the one
You
who.
wouldn't see it. Apologies. Yeah,
Oh my
I saw
God!
it because we
Spoiler.
see the Zoom. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just looks like. I mean, she worked for Oprah for 20 years. That's her.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
think.
that's her. So I listened to that one already. So that's cool. I can easily make it this Sunday then because I've listened to that
Okay,
one.
yeah, I'm almost done that. I keep looking at. Oh, there's 10 minutes left. Oh my God. Um, but I've covered.
Long. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. I'm like, girl, we gotta do stuff.
Yeah. She just goes on. Um, but I guess you listen to as much as you want. But I mean, a lot of it, there's the song at the end, and the song will be okay. Let's get through that, and
And the commercials.
yeah, I
Yeah,
wish
yeah,
you
that's
could click fast forward through the commercial, but
You can. I do.
although yeah, I guess you'd have to know. I wish the magic button.
You have that little 10-second thing, right, Jessica?
Oh,
Is that
right,
what you
right.
do?
Yeah.
Mine's 30.
Oh, yours 30. Oh, mine's, I don't know even how it's set up, but it says 10 seconds, so I just keep hitting that thing.
I think you can change it in your settings to how long you want that button to be. So that's good.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, she should. If I had a tip for her, because Ben Shapiro, I listen to him all the time, and he kind of sometimes he makes a joke out of his ad, like he'll be like, ZipRecruiter, and I'm going to fire my employee or whatever. So he kind of makes it like, oh, okay, I'll listen to this. But she kind of pre-records her commercials about her smoothies, so I'm like, I don't care about this. But anyways,
Oh, that's funny.
I'll still buy
good
it.
for her. She even has commercials.
Yeah, I know. I
mean,
mean,
I really admire what she's done. I think, you know what? God bless her and to inspire. She has a lot of heart, and I think you're gonna love MTDT, Jessica. Again, I haven't done it, but a lot of my friends that I've become and met through that, she's just a very giving person, and I think that's teaches you how you can be a good person and have heart and yet make money. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's all.
You know?
It's very, very sweet. She's found her niche, and that's the thing. You can just you just do it, and you see what happens, and
Yeah.
it worked out.
Okay, so this Sunday, let me look at my calendar. So it's the 17th. Okay, because I'm still on Eastern time until next Thursday. So I'm going to put in for 1 p.m. I'm going to call it Team Podcast.
All right.
Team Pod.
Team Pod.
Team Pod.
Don't keep your podcast. I don't know. There's some
How about
takeaway
Yeah.
gang. Takeaway pod. It doesn't matter. Unless you're involved in a 50 podcasts or something, then that's probably good.
International Posse or something?
The pod posse. The pod. I'm sure every podcast pun has been taken.
How about the randoms?
Random, yeah. We're like The View. We're like.
Yeah, we're like The View.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll think of it. See, now I'm gonna have to think of a name for the next 2 years. I'm like, what's the name of this thing? I'm still trying to think.
It's just part of your podcast right now, right? So you don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah, I don't even like the name of my podcast. So my podcast is currently called Celebrity Josh because that's a whole story. I came up with that.
Yeah, what's up with that? What's up with that? I want to know.
Okay, so like 15 years ago, another creative group at another creative team at the ad agency was like, hey Josh, we've got this idea for Orville Redenbacher Popcorn to have like a celebrity hunter go around in a webinar, like a web series, and try to get other people at the film festival to try this popcorn. Could you do like one of your little web series things? I'm like, okay, I'll go out and film myself. I need a name for myself. I'm the celebrity hunter, a celebrity hunter. All those names were taken on YouTube. And then I thought, well, like Crocodile Dundee hunts crocodiles, and I hunt celebrities, so I'm Celebrity Josh kind of thing. I'm like, okay, that's my name. And I got it on YouTube and Twitter. And so I was Celebrity Josh on this little web series. And then years later, I guess I was trying to come up with a domain name. Like I met this woman who builds websites, and she was teaching me how to make millions of dollars. And I'm like, I don't know. So I think at that point, maybe somebody had stolen joshraklis.com from me, and then so I was joshraklis.today, and I was trying to think of another name, and I thought, I could be Celebrity Josh for my website, and then I started interviewing celebrities on red carpets. I'm like, okay, this name works because I'm joshing around celebrities. So I was just using that for a while because it's easy to spell, and so I had that for my Instagram and everything, and I'm like, that'll be my name of my podcast, it'll be the name of my cartoon strip, it's everything. I'll be like Weird Al Yankovic, Celebrity Josh, like whatever, and then. Yeah, so I drew the logo, and I don't know, I think in the past few months I just got bored of it. I'm like, I'm not really interviewing celebrities. I don't really care about celebrities. It's too many syllables. I don't like the name Josh.
But maybe that's point is that everybody can be a celebrity. Like, why do we care about any of those people anyways? In all honesty, like, didn't we just say, like, this is what we all want to see and listen to, is this conversation of regular people?
That is, I mean, even my mom said, well, you should interview regular people. Like, it's anybody can be a celebrity. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So, I mean, the name still technically works. I don't like the name that much.
How about the regulars? Our podcast, we're the regulars.
The regulars, yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure my podcast is mostly going to be about trying to come up with a name for my podcast. Like, it's like, what is it about today? Like, I don't know.
It's hard. Do you know that for me to come up with Wear Your Money Crown, I literally spent months thinking of a name that, like, that meant what the mission I'm trying to do, which is to empower people. And literally, I was listening to Cathy like 18 months ago to a podcast, and she kept saying about wear your crown, just in general, like just that term, wear your crown. And I was like, wear your crown, wear your money crown. And I rushed home, and thank God the domain was not taken. And I just trademarked it in the EU, and I'm working on the US, but I was like, damn, it's so hard to find domains that are not taken.
Oh, everything's taken. Hard. Yeah.
Oh, it's a bloody nightmare to come out with something original.
Yeah. Well, especially on Instagram, it drives me crazy. Every word is taken. I mean, like, they're not even doing anything with it. Even Celebrity Josh was taken for years. Some kid posted one picture, and I'm like, what is he doing? So finally I got it taken down, and I got the name, but then I'm like, I don't even want it anymore. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter the name, I guess, but I do want something easy to spell and punchy and...
Sure.
I don't know, but then you can keep it, you can always change it. Like, didn't Puff Daddy become P. Diddy, or Lady Gaga was something else? Like, I don't know. I'm sure Cathy would say it doesn't matter. Just keep producing content and you'll figure it out. Like, but yeah, so I don't know. 'Cause that's the thing. 'Cause there's so many interests I have. It's like, of course I could come up with a podcast that it's the Star Wars chat or whatever, but it's like, but I also want to be like Joe Rogan and just talk with everybody in the world. Like, it's like, how do you come up with that? I don't know. But again, that's what the podcast is. It's just talking about what to do. I mean, indecision has always been my biggest thing. That's why I never got married, because I'm like, oh, who's the perfect wife? Well, then you wind up with no wife ever. What's the perfect couch? Well, I've never owned a couch. And actually, that's what I wrote my screenplay about. It was called Mr. Indecision. Actually, no. Well, I can't even decide on a title. I called it Focus Group, because it was a guy trying to focus group every decision in his life, because he was completely paralyzed, kind of thing. And so at least I turned that into content, so it's kind of the thing. But I don't know. So I keep hoping one day, like, Jennifer Lawrence is going to be on my show, and she'll be like, I think your name should be this. And I'll be like, okay, thank you, Jennifer Lawrence. You've convinced me. And that'll be it. But whatever. We'll see.
Okay. Let's have a think of names if you want. I like the regulars. We need to see if it's just because it kind of brings in what we're trying to do is like think about we're just regular people with lives, and it's hard sometimes. And this is we're trying to just let's say, or something about pods, because that's kind of mixing podcasters with pods, like having a pod of people. I don't know. We can brainstorm a few things, but for now we can keep it under.
Yeah, I'll just...
yours, Josh, to make it easy. Like, Jessica says, and then we figure it out.
Yeah, we'll save the file, and you can do what you want with it, and I'll stick it on Celebrity Josh for now, and, eventually I'll probably change the name to something, but it doesn't really matter. Like, it's... just keep churning it out, and people will find you, and then we'll do polls with the audience. What do you think we should be called? And then,
I love that.
I'll be involved.
So what should we send you, like, a little bio to stick under the show notes for introduction, or what should we do? What do y'all reckon?
Yeah, you could do that if you want a little bio, and then, any social media links, like, click here for her Instagram or her website or whatever it is.
Okay.
And,
okay, so we'll email you. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Little bio and that. Okay, neat. This is exciting. And I suppose that when we do it on Sunday, we should talk about kind of what we talked about today, as well as an intros, just like, we just came together through Cathy's, that you prompted it, and that, we kind of were the only ones that answered you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Say who we are, how we started. I mean, because, again, that's what a Cathy coaching call is. It's like, what's your story? That's what people want to hear. Yes. Like, what are you trying to do? How did you do it? Like, your story is your thing. That's, we're trying to start a podcast, and this is how we heard about it. And then people could go, oh, I want to try that too, or whatever. I mean, That's all it is. I mean, that's all it could be. That's why I was like, we should record. We should have recorded this call, and then that could be episode 1 kind of thing, you know. But you know,
I needed to make sure that we can make it work, you know, and I just thought it was nice to meet, you know,
oh yeah.
you know, but we can do it again on Sunday. That's okay. Well, I'll pretend we haven't said anything.
yeah, exactly. It'll just be a little intro, and that's the thing with these things. It doesn't have to be, okay, we've got to cover every aspect of our life history in that episode. It'll be like, here's a little bit of who I am and why we did this, and then next week it'll be like, oh yeah, remember that whatever. You can keep adding things, and people can get to know more about it and whatever. And
awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is exciting. So, for Zoom, to record, like Jessica says, I mean, I have a Zoom account too, but you said you have another way to upload it. So how do we do it?
Well, I mean, I was recording calls in Skype just because the recording thing is built in, and so I was able to do that. So, I mean, I've never done a 3-way call on Skype. Is it possible? I don't even know.
I don't use Skype, but I can look into
Zoom
it.
is fine too. So, Zoom, and you need to pay to be able to record more than 45 minutes or something? Is that what it is?
To have a meeting longer than 30 minutes, I think you have to have a business account.
So who does somebody have a business account here, obviously? Because we've been talking for longer than...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and is this your link?
This is my link, yeah.
Okay,
but I don't have like bandwidth to record and upload to iCloud or anything.
All right, so then...
But I think it's free to record if that's your question, Rush. We just need to keep it under 30 minutes, right?
I think 30, they might have extended it.
Let me Google it.
We can Google it. Okay, so one option is just to keep it under the time limit. Yeah, there's no cloud... actually, again, I don't know. Actually, I've never recorded a Zoom call. Like with Skype, at the end of the call, it just puts it on my computer or in the chat.
Says here, local recording is available to free and paid subscribers. Local recording allows participants to record a meeting video and audio locally to a computer. You can give it a try if you don't mind, Josh, because you would be the one uploading it.
Yeah, but what's the time limit?
Yeah, let's see. Let me Google to add a time limit. Let's see. 40 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
And then how much, if I wanted to pay for Zoom to go longer, what is the next level of tier? I guess I can look it up.
I think it's like $15 a month.
Yeah, so it might be worth it. I mean, just to try it out. You can always cancel or whatever. Might as well.
Prices.
Should have bought stock in Zoom.
I do with mine sometimes is stream it live to Facebook too at the same time.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh,
yeah.
You can do that? You can stream Zoom into Facebook. Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I know the stand-up open mics I do, they use Restreamio or something, and it goes to Facebook.
Restream.
Yeah, Restream.io, so I call it Restreamio, but I guess that's probably not the name.
Yeah, actually, so the current plan it says for hosts up to 100, you get 1 gigabyte cloud recording. It's like $149 a year for that license, so that's like $12.50 a month. That's pretty good, actually.
All right, well, I guess I should just bite the bullet, and then I can, because I'm going to start a community, and I'm going to be giving my little speeches to 1,000. How many people can you have on a Zoom call? Is it 1,000 or something?
Okay, so at that price point, it says 100.
That's 100. But what's the technical limit?
Unlimited would be the... Oh, wait a minute. No, that doesn't make sense.
But there's probably some, hard... You can't have 1 million people on a Zoom call, I don't think. Although...
No, that's a good question. I don't know. The other license they do, which is $199 a year, says it hosts up to 300. And then it stops saying how many the bigger plans do.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But my plan is to, I'm going to be a guru. I'm going to be, like Cathy would say, start a community, just hold space for them, have a guest every now and then, and charge people $1,000 a month. I'm like, okay, so I'll just get 300 people to pay $1,000 a month.
A month. Oh, yeah.
I'm aiming high. I guess actually nobody's paying $1,000 a month. All right, $997 a year for my community, and I'll just get 1 million people, and then I've made $1 billion. That's it.
There we go. By the way, it is it says it's called large meeting add-on, it's up to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But you know how you have like Amy Porterfield and all these people when they do their big things, they do webinars.
Yeah.
Because webinar software allows you a lot more, and also imagine controlling the speaker for like 1,000 people.
Yeah,
so
yeah. There'd be no point in that.
Yeah. Okay, Josh, that would be cool if you don't mind doing that, since you'll be using it for other purposes. That's cool.
All right, now I've got skin in the game, and that's what she was saying to Jill Stanton, I guess. She's like, you got to charge people, otherwise they don't do the work, and they don't, so now I'm invested. All right, Cathy, this better pay off if you're listening, Cathy.
That's awesome. Cool.
So ridiculous. I've talked to her sister as well.
Okay.
All right.
So Sunday at 1 p.m. So you'll send us the link, yeah, Josh?
All right. I better write this down. So I'm gonna be Sunday. I'll be like, what's I supposed to do something today? Okay, Sunday, 1 p.m. Send link to the regulars.
The regulars.
It's a podcast all about fiber and all brand. All right, the regulars. Okay.
Prune juice.
Oh, prune juice sounds good.
Actually, I like the taste of prune juice. I don't think it's that bad.
No, I don't understand why everybody's like, ooh, prune juice. It's like, it's just prune. It's a sweet, fruity drink. I don't know.
Sweet, right? I don't know what's up with that.
Cathy's sister Barb is on Instagram, and she was posting today about a smoothie she made, like with celery and half a lemon and an apple or something. And so I'm like, okay, I got to start drinking that, like a healthy juice every day. So whatever, that'll be our thing. Maybe every day, maybe when we do our podcast, we say, everybody have their juice. Everybody got their celery juice. Okay, it'll be like the ladies who drink their juice and their tea or whatever. Just something.
I'd rather have a beer, if I'm honest with you.
All right, that's good. See, we're like,
I'm an alcohol girl.
This is good.
Cocktail, anytime.
We're like the Spice Girls. Everybody's got their own personality. Jessica looks like Sporty Spice with her little thing there, and you can be Posh Spice, and I'll be Ginger or something, or I don't know.
I don't want to be posh. She's always like looking like so serious. I'm like, girl, smile. Be thankful.
I know.
Have gratitude.
Seriously, you're married to what's his name? It's all good. I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be married to him. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's too good looking.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want a pretty boy going around like. It's like, no, I'm supposed to be the pretty one.
I'm sure he's going around. Sadly.
Yeah. There's that as well. Yeah. Well.
Oh, funny. Okay. Good. So, yeah, because it's almost 11.
Yep.
I have my yearly review with my boss from Germany tomorrow morning, and because of the time difference, it's really early in the morning.
Yikes. Okay. It's very early to talk to a German boss.
So I gotta go.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. I speak a little bit of German. That's about it. I can say it. That and eine Biere bitte. Can I have a beer, please?
Achtung. That's all I know. I have a girl from Vietnam that messages me every night saying it's time to go to bed. You have to go to bed on time. So I promised her I would go to bed soon. So.
Okay. Well, buenas noches, good night, friends,
Au revoir.
See you on Sunday.
Sunday at 1. So okay, so 1 o'clock. I mean, obviously we're not going live, so it doesn't. We don't need to meet before 1. It's like, okay, 1 o'clock. We'll whatever. Yeah. Okay. And I guess I'll email you and figure out what the homework is, what we're going to listen to or talk about or something, I guess. Yeah.
That'd be neat. Okay,
all right.
Super. And we'll send you the bio and the social media links. Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.